Cynthia from Cloud Nation TV Live. Today we're at Walmart and we're looking at one of the many junk foods that we have at Walmart. And junk food causes obesity. And America is one of the most obese countries in the world. Obesity leads to a heart attack. Heart attack is basically when your heart crashes. Speaking of crashes, we have one of the biggest crashes in Frisco. The one between the world's greatest physicists, Mr. Motley and Miss Henderson. So today we're going to see some of the photos and the live rendering of what actually happened. So, all of you have seen live rendering and the pictures of the crash. So now here in the studio is Mr. Motley with us today, and let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, so I just want to make it very clear that Miss Henderson did not stop at the flashing red light. And I did indeed slow down before the collision. And I want to make that very clear. Thank you very much.
Now, here we have Miss Henderson in the studio with us. So, Miss Henderson, what do you have to say about this?
I assure you that I made a full stop at the light before entering the intersection. I also clearly saw that Mr. Motley did not slow down prior to the collision. Thank you for your time.
We've taken the viewpoints from both Mr. Motley and Miss Henderson about the crash. So now let's invite the sheriff to our scene.
Howdy, y'all. As a Texas Ranger, it is important to know all the facts. Here are the facts that we discovered from the scene. The police department determined that the force required to drag a 130 Newton car tire across the pavement at a constant velocity is 100 Newtons. Specifications from the truck's manufacturer claim that, for technical reasons, the effective coefficient of friction for truck tires is only 70% that of car tires. After collision, the truck and car tire skidded at the angles shown in the attached diagram. The car skidded a distance of 8.2 meters before stopping, while the truck skidded 11 meters before stopping. The weight of the car is 13,600 newtons, and the weight of the truck is 69,700 newtons. The pre-crash angle between the velocities of the truck and car was 90 degrees. The truck driver claims to have begun braking in anticipation of a collision, traveling at only 6.7 meters per second at the moment of impact. Police measurements show that the distance for the car from the traffic light to the collision point was 13 meters. Ford Motor Corporation specifications indicate that the maximum acceleration of a comparably loaded Ford Escort is about 3.0 meters per second squared. Using the frictional force equals to mu Fn, we can determine that the coefficient of friction is 0.769. That times 70% is 0.538, which is the coefficient of the truck. After the collision, we can determine using F equals to ma that the acceleration of the car is 7.54 and the acceleration of the truck is 5.27 meters per second squared. We can determine using the third kinematic equation that the velocity of the car is 11.12 meters per second and the velocity of the truck is 10.77 meters per second. Using the conservation of momentum before and after the collision in Mr. Motley's direction, we can determine that the velocity that Mr. Motley traveled was 12.509 meters per second. This proves that Mr. Motley's claim of 6.7 meters per second is false. Mr. Motley lied. But wait, y'all, there's more. Using the conservation of momentum before and after the collision, we can determine that Mrs. Henderson's velocity was 12.771 meters per second. Using the velocity of 12.771 meters per second and the maximum acceleration of the Ford of 3.0 meters per second squared in the third kinematic equation, we can determine that the distance Mrs. Henderson traveled was 27.18 meters, proving that Mrs. Henderson lied, that she did not come to a full stop.
So yeah, I was talking about how the Physics 1 students are so dumb this year. They don't even believe that vampires exist. They're gonna fail their AP test.
Under Texas court of law,
What?
you guys have the right to remain silent.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's your
What?
only right. Let's go, guys.
But however, recently, as research shows that keep recording, Frisco.
I'm already recording, so like.
Today we had one of the studio. Let's take Miss Henderson's viewpoint. So Miss Henderson, what do you think? What do I say?
Now, let's invite the investigator to the
Don't do
scene.
quotes.
Let's invite the investigator of
Quotes
our
again.
defense.
Stop. Hold on.